Okay.
Oh, that's such a hilarious anecdote, and so wonderfully told too. Okay, now you tell one.
Coming to you live from my parents' bedroom, actually, this time, is
That's really
Captain
creepy, dude.
JJP84. And with me is the other guy, I guess.
Welcome to the second installment of Movie Mania number 2. And this episode is basically all going to be, we're going to be covering the best and the worst movies of 2013, which is great for me because it's a way that I can actually talk about movies that have come out. Because you wouldn't know this being spoiled over there in Canada, but movies here come like about 3 weeks, sometimes a month after like America and you guys are in Canada. So that's why I don't do movie reviews when they come out, because it's just way too late. By the time I talk about it, nobody cares. But
Okay.
you've got the best and the worst list, right?
Yeah, I do have a best and the worst list.
Yeah, and I've got the honourable mention and the dishonourable mentions. Movies that were
I'll just
almost in those categories, but not quite.
Okay, I'll just name my top five really quickly. Number five is American Hustle. If there's one thing this film rocks at, it is crazy hair. Everyone has this crazy, crazy hair. Jennifer Lawrence has this beehive thing. Christian Bale has this massive mullet comb over.
I heard Christian Bale's gotten like really fat and paunchy for that role. He's like the
Yeah,
sleazy greaseball kind of dude.
he gained 50 pounds for the role.
I bet he absolutely loved doing that. He'd just be like sitting
No.
on his couch eating Doritos going, yep, it's hard training.
Hey, that guy's a method actor. Before that guy was Batman, he did this film called The Machinist. He weighed like 110 pounds or
Oh
something.
my god, yeah. That guy's crazy. Why would you put
Dude,
yourself through all of that? Well, I guess the millions of dollars is a good incentive.
number four is The Wolf of Wall Street, which,
You know, that
oh
hasn't
man.
come out yet. That hasn't come out yet here in Australia. That's why I didn't do a top five, because a lot of the top five, I can't see them yet. So,
I read the other day this film apparently broke the record for most F words.
really? With Martin Scorsese, I had no idea.
Yeah, no joke. Let's see. Number three is that Disney film Frozen. Oh, I love that movie. It just sort of
Yeah, I
stayed
haven't
with me.
seen it.
Number two, and this is a tie for number two, is Prisoners, which I really liked, and Her, which I'm assuming hasn't come out either
Yeah,
in
neither of them have
Australia.
come out here in Australia. But how is Hugh Jackman though? I mean, can this guy just do anything? He's doing like superheroes, he's doing musicals, he's doing like serious dramas like Prisoners.
Everything that's been said about that movie, his performance is absolutely incredible. You know how at the Oscars when they show like the best actor and they usually have the Oscar clip or whatever. Okay, there's like 20 of those in this movie just with Hugh Jackman. So
Has he got one yet? I don't think he's got one yet. Has he?
doesn't know. He's only been nominated once.
Well, I
He
hope he
probably
gets
won't.
one before Tom Cruise does. That'd be a real outrage if Tom
Uh,
Cruise gets there first.
and tied with that is Her, a Spike Jonze love story. It's with Joaquin Phoenix. It's about this guy. He falls in love with his computer that's played by Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah. I'm kind of wondering exactly how that works, because apparently there's a very unique scene in that.
There is a unique
And I'm,
scene,
I'm
and
trying to
I've
figure out the mechanics of how that would work, and it's really
was that
disturbing to think about.
wait, was that a pun because you said Phoenix and she's a
No,
computer?
no, it wasn't.
My number one choice, which it's funny because I saw your channel trailer and like I just laughed my head off when you included that one thing of just you ranting. Yes, my number one is of course Gravity. Like you were going on about all those criticisms, and like I sort of have this mentality that no film is immune to criticism, and like I know about like 8 people that don't like it, and okay, they don't like it, so what? Now,
My attitude towards Gravity is just kind of like the Holocaust, It's something that happened, you can't change it. So you just have to try and learn what you can from the horror of that.
awesome. When you say Gravity, and then you're like, it's like the Holocaust to me.
I've given up the battle against gravity. There's no fighting gravity. It's here and people like it, so
Also a pun. There's no fighting gravity.
that was a much more intentional pun. It's terrible, I know.
So name your top five.
Well, because I had the honourable and the dishonourable, I just had my number one best and my number one worst. My number one best is obviously Man of Steel. My number one worst is something you put me onto, which was Pain and Gain.
Yeah, it's about 3 complete dumbasses doing stupid things, but there's nothing to hate about that movie.
Well, it's weird because if that was a fictional story, I would have absolutely loved it. But a couple of days before I rented it, I watched a show called 48 Hours, which is like true life crime dramas. They actually did that crime. They actually explained that whole crime, and it was like in line with the movie as well. Like they had the guy who was actually, that they kidnapped and who was actually tortured, and they're interviewing him, and he's like, you know, the movie did it as a comedy. He goes, but trust me, there was nothing funny about it at all. So like when I saw it in that light, so I saw it a couple of days after that actual true life crime story, and I was like, this is horrifying.
Poking fun at it.
Yeah, so I think that easily gets the worst category in my book, just because it's making fun of something that really did happen. And especially like, you know, the first guy they kidnap in that movie is a dude who, he was like doing all this Medicare fraud, so he was kind of a criminal himself. So in your mind, you can kind of justify it. But the second guy that they went after, but he was a law-abiding guy. He wasn't a criminal. It was terrible the way they did that in the movie. You know, in the movie, they make it that it's like an accident. It's an accidental death. Yeah. Well, the way it actually happened was Mark Wahlberg's character wanted to choke the guy out, but he didn't know his own steroided up strength, so he strangled him so much that he actually snapped his neck in his hands, and then they injected his wife with 4 times the amount of horse tranquilizer that you would use on an actual horse, and then they're like, oh, she's dead. Oh, didn't know that would happen. And to pass all that off as some kind of accident was just horrifying. So yeah, that one easily gets my worst category.
I don't know. It's neat you bring up that fact that you saw that like thing about that in story and then went into it thinking, oh, this is horrible. I sort of was looking at this neat little thing I read the other day, sort of like, can someone be truly have an objective mind going into a movie? I think if you just saw that film before that, you would probably be like, you might have thought it was still bad or something, but the fact that you knew that, you know, those are real people and here it's poking fun at that, you probably just think, oh, this is awful.
Hang on, maybe we should do an intro. Just say,
okay.
Oh, let's talk about most anticipated.
Yo, intro. We're talking about films 2014, yo, and like
not that kind
the
of intro.
The shizzle that put it in the thing. It's like
okay.
First movie on the list I want to watch. I want to watch the Lego movie. I'm sorry, but like,
that is so lame. Oh,
dude, before we get Batman versus Superman, Batman and Superman are in this movie.
And
that
Wonder
must
Woman,
mean it must
she's
be
in it
good. From all the previews and stuff I've seen of Batman, I kind of like it. They're over-exaggerating the Batman persona to the extreme. It's just like, we'll wing it. That's got like Will Arnett playing Batman, who's just perfect.
I'm really looking forward to Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, that looks really good. Jason Clarke and Gary Oldman. Yeah.
Or as it should be known, Dot Pota, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. You know what I'm surprised, though, is they've jumped straight into post-apocalyptic. I didn't actually think they were going to do that. I thought they were going to build up to it more, where we'd see the desolation, but they just went straight post-apocalyptic.
Well, I mean, to an extent, they were going to lead to that anyway, so it's kind of like,
why not just jump right into it?
Well, I'm sure they're going to bring in the whole ape does not kill ape thing. Are you familiar with any of the like really unpopular early Planet of the Apes movies? Yeah, there were 3 other movies that came after it, and they got worse and worse. I'm one of those few people that have actually seen them all. Obviously, this next movie, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, is going to mirror some of those later ape sequels more, and a big part of that is part of like the ape culture is a big difference between ape and humans. Is while humans kill each other, no ape has ever killed another one before. They say ape has not killed ape.
That can also sort of, there's plenty of ideas you can do with that. That sort of also shows like almost the fragility of their sort of society that create. The moment one ape kills an ape, that could, their whole thing could just collapse on itself.
You remember in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, there was that, I can't remember the name they gave the ape, but he had like that scar down his face, and he was kind of like the evil one. Well, there's Caesar, and there was that guy who was like, you could see there was a bit of friction between the two of them. So I think in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, we'll show like the clash of philosophies, which between Caesar, who's like, ape doesn't kill ape, this is what separates us from the humans, and the other one with the scar is just kind of like, I hate humans, who cares, So I can see the two of them coming to blows in this next movie. But also a big part of the ape sort of lore, if you want to call it that. It's a little bit different than how they've set it up in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. In the other sequels, it was that a virus had wiped out all dogs and cats in the earth, so everyone started adopting apes as like household pets, but because apes are like 4 times stronger than humans, the way they did it was they basically tortured the apes so that when they hear the word no, it freaks them out and it's like psychologically scarring on them, so that if an ape's doing something, you can go no like that and it will stop immediately. So part of what Caesar does is his law is he wants to sort of still have peaceful relations with humans, but a law he makes is that no human is ever allowed to say the word no to an ape because that word sort of encapsulates the slavery of his kind. So I wonder if they're going to carry that over into Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I'm a Planet of the Apes fanboy, as you can see. So that's easily my most anticipated one for 2014.
Well, no, I was just giving a list. No, my most anticipated is Godzilla.
But I don't know. I mean, what can they do with that? Don't you think Pacific Rim kind of knocked the wind out of their sails on that?
Maybe. But with Godzilla, it's a bit different because while Pacific Rim was sort of its own thing, Godzilla, the God's been around for like 60 years. So yeah, but that's the thing about Godzilla, which makes him such a unique character, is that he wasn't just there for like some absurd escapist entertainment. He's a walking metaphor for like 30 different things. The most notably is that this is what happens when we put nuclear material.
It's kind of like, well, he kind of symbolizes the creation of nuclear weapons in that we created this monster that can devour the whole world, because that's pretty much what nuclear weapons are.
It's also sort of saying, here's what we get when we mess with nature.
Hang on. Sorry to interrupt, but when I was checking for that Godzilla poster you were talking about here, and apparently Henry Cavill has commented on one of my videos on YouTube. So this is breaking news. No doubt from the official Henry Cavill.
Oh, Lordy.
Even though I think the name's spelt wrong, but I guess Henry Cavill doesn't know how to spell his own name. But here's what Henry Cavill says. He says, "Hey, Christopher Nolan is producing the movie along with 4 different guys who produced The Dark Knight Rises. So please research before you run your mouth. Ben," of course, because he's good friends with Ben Affleck, you call him Ben instead of Mr. Affleck. "Ben didn't make a bad Daredevil. The storyline made him bad. Give him a great script and watch him knock it out of the park. If you saw Christian Bale in Newsy/American Psycho and found out he was going to be Batman, would you jump on the Bale hate train? You sure would." I don't really understand that last bit. Well, I'm going to tell Henry Cavill to shut up. No, I'm not really. So there we go. Henry Cavill has officially seen one of my videos and thinks I'm an idiot.
Why do you mention that? Because I was actually curious. There's only one interview of Henry Cavill talking about Ben Affleck, and it's just him sort of saying, I think he'll be good. Look forward to Captain America 2, because that looks cool.
Yeah, I heard a crazy rumor that apparently he's going to die in that, which I think is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. There's no way they're going to kill Captain America in his movie before Avengers 2 even comes out. So it's just totally absurd. There's no way that's going to happen.
My honorable mentions are Man of Steel, 42,
Glad you said that.
Batman: The Dark Knight Returns Part 2. That was really cool.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. I've got that.
That's
actually. I especially like the Joker in that. That version of the Joker is really creepily scary. You're not quite sure what is going on with him, but it's like, it's a unique take on the character. It's got a little bit of Heath Ledger in there, but it's like way out on the psycho side of things. I really like that Joker. Yes, honourable mentions. So honourable mentions are movies that were almost in the top ones, but didn't quite make it, either because they came out a bit too late or they were just up against so much competition. First one, Desolation of Smaug. I absolutely love all of the Lord of the Rings, and I love the Hobbits. Desolation of Smaug was awesome. But I actually enjoy these Hobbit movies more than Lord of the Rings. I know, right? I think like some of the people who don't really get these Hobbit movies are like, oh, it's too long, it's padded, blah blah blah. It's like, I think because it's a fantasy, it's set in the fantasy realm, it's one of those things you either get it or you don't. You're either into it, it's your thing, or it's not. It's like Doctor Who. If you're not into Doctor Who, you're never going to be into Doctor Who. But I absolutely love it, and I hope they make a whole 10 more movies. I hope Peter Jackson just continues to make them, because half of the fun is just being in that world. So I absolutely love Desolation of Smaug. I really liked that Bilbo's character, they didn't backtrack on his story, because in the first movie, it was about him finding his courage. So in this one, whenever there's fight scenes, he just jumps right in. I love that. They didn't try to show that he's still struggling with that he's made that progress, boom, he keeps going. That was great. Because often in movies, they sort of harp on about the same thing, but we're seeing he actually is progressing, so I like that. Another honourable mention, a little-known movie that I actually saw by accident, Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Have you seen that?
I didn't like it very much.
No, this is your Gravity? You're kidding me. You didn't like, how could you not?
Well, no, the difference between Walter Mitty...
It was a great movie. It was such a great little movie. It's uplifting. It made me feel good. What did you not like about it? Ben Stiller?
No, well, that, and Ben Stiller he felt so Ben Stiller in the movie. I don't know, just something about it couldn't really feel like it pick a tone with itself. I don't know, that's just how I felt. But unlike you who were saying, you're in the minority with Gravity. I'm in the majority with Walter Mitty. That film wasn't well received at all.
See, I liked it because it had genre twists, and I mean I won't spoil them for anyone that hasn't seen it, but it's like, you know, within that kind of story where it's about a person is going on this journey of self-discovery, you expect certain things to happen in that story, and in this they twisted it and they flipped it round, and I can't say more without spoiling it, but no, I really loved it. Everything except the last like 2 minutes of the movie where they flipped one of those twists. They did a double twist, and I really didn't care for that. And I actually saw it by accident because I was meaning to go and see Saving Mr. Banks, but I read the movie thing wrong, and I went in on a Tuesday, and Saving Mr. Banks comes out on a Thursday because we're still waiting for that. So I went and saw this instead, and I'm so glad I did. Anyone out there, go see it. Go see it. Don't listen to Captain. Go see it.
Oh lordy. Oh well.
Dishonorable mentions. These are the fun ones, okay? The Wolverine.
I like that one.
It's like, this gets a dishonorable mention because it should know better. It's the fifth movie that's pretty much starring Wolverine, because all the first X-Men 1, 2, and 3 were pretty much all about Wolverine. Then you got Wolverine Origins, then you got this one. So it's the fifth Wolverine movie, but they're still telling the exact same story, pretty much, as they have in all other incarnations of the story. Almost every single movie that comes out is there's someone trying to trick Wolverine so that they can steal his powers. Like, that happened in Origin, it happened in X-Men 2, and it happened in Wolverine as well. Like, apart from him being in Japan, it's pretty much beat for beat the exact same story as we've been told, and it's like 5 movies in and you're just still doing this again? Can't you do something different? And every movie he's pining over some woman that he just lost in the past. The guy's 400 years old, or something like that. He's 400 years old. You think he would be used to outliving people by now, but every movie he's crying about the love of his life, even though it might be different from the one that happened before that. And he deserves better than that. That's why it gets a dishonorable mention. They supposedly based that story around the Wolverine graphic novel of the same name. But the thing is, like, a key difference in that graphic novel from how they did it in the movie is that Wolverine himself chooses to go to Japan because he's drawn to the samurai culture and that warrior culture, and he believes that that'll help him to sort of rein in his berserker rage and sort of bring some peace in his life. So he decides to go to Japan. That's his decision. But in The Wolverine, the movie, it's not his decision. Yet again, he's just being manipulated by other people. Every movie, Wolverine is just an idiot who's being either manipulated by someone who's trying to steal his powers, or whether it's Xavier just telling him what to do. I want to see Wolverine decide for himself his own fate. It was an okay movie, whatever, but it was just more of the same for me. So that's why it gets a dishonorable mention. Did you want to defend it?
No, I kind of fell asleep.
I know, I saw you, but I just kept going.
Well, no, you did bring up a good point saying, he's always kind of moping around, but, that's sort of the thing with Wolverine, is that his power is sort of, a curse at the same time. I mean, would you...
Sure, but 5 movies in, they're still playing that same tune?
After Earth? Oh, lordy. I don't even know. That M. Night Shyamalan film, Will Smith and the other guy.
let me just... After Earth. After Earth. What? Like that monster, they've got that monster that smells fear. And at the very start of the movie, they're like, we landed on this planet, these aliens didn't like us, so they engineered these monsters that can smell our fear. But the aliens that engineered the monsters, they're not even in the movie. They're not in the movie, they're never mentioned again, you never see them, they have nothing. Why did you even mention them? Like, what are they doing? Oh, man, and there's like, it's like they've got this monster that can smell fear, and there's like a million other ways that you can go about dealing with a monster like that. Like, they've got Jaden Smith in this little bubble. Build a whole house that's a bubble so no one can smell him. Spray on deodorant. There's plenty of other things you can do than trying to ghost past it. And what's the deal with this whole Will Smith family thing? Just because your dad is a successful actor doesn't mean you're going to be. They just expect us all to go crazy about Jaden Smith. He's not Will Smith. He's not.
Maybe expecting it to fall like, Jerry Stiller and Ben Stiller or something like that.
That's the thing, though, like Angelina Jolie, she's the daughter of John Voight.
Yeah.
But even though she's the daughter of a famous actor, she's like, she can stand on her own feet now with her own talent. Yeah, and that's because she worked her way up. She started as a fashion model, she went into TV, then she went into like music videos, then she did made-for-TV movies. She worked her way up the ranks without calling in any favors from John Voight. And by the time they finally did appear in a movie together on Tomb Raider, she was already a star. So she earned it. Jaden Smith, right from the very beginning, he's right there with his dad. How is he supposed to earn his own chops if he's doing it off his dad's back the whole time?
The only thing I remember he did on his own was The Karate Kid, but I don't know if that's really saying anything.
Well, I think that's pretty much it. So now for anybody listening, you might have recognized that little bit of dialogue at the beginning of the video. What that is, that's a section of dialogue from a movie. So if anyone can guess where that dialogue came from and name the movie in the comments, then you will be our movie manic for the month, and you should be able to pick a topic of discussion for next week's Movie Mania. So thanks for listening. See you guys later.